Things I do differently because my dog is reactive. One thing people don't always understand about having a reactive dog is that it changes the way that you do almost everything. Like, not necessarily in a dramatic way every single day, but in lots of small ways. Like the time you walk, the places you choose, the routes that you take, and the way that you scan ahead. The way that you park somewhere and the way that you leave somewhere too. The way that you answer people when they say, "Oh, he's friendly." And the way that you recover after a walk that doesn't go to plan. And if you don't have a reactive dog, some of these things might look really odd from the outside. As in, it might look over the top. It might look like I'm being too careful. It might look like Frank runs my life. And to be honest, sometimes he probably does. But really, these are the things that I choose to do because I know my dog. Frank is my reactive rescue German Shepherd. As I said before, he's funny, loyal, very dramatic, and one of the best things to ever happen to me. But he's also a big dog with big feelings. He needs his space and he needs management. And he needs me to pay attention. And because of that, I don't live dog ownership in the same way someone with an easy, sociable, go-anywhere dog might. And I've decided that's okay, because I'm not trying to build a life around the dog that I wish he was. I'm building a life around the dog that he actually is. Now, the first thing that I do differently is I choose the time of day very carefully. I don't just think, "Oh, I'll take Frank out whenever." I choose to think about when it's going to be quiet. I think about when other dogs are likely to be out. I think about like weekend crowds. I think where I live is really, really busy at the weekend, so walking on the seafront in the middle of the day is definitely a no for us. Because with reactive dogs, the timing can change everything, and a walk at the wrong time can just feel like chaos. Whereas the same walk at the right time can feel really peaceful and you can actually enjoy it. And that doesn't mean that I'm hiding him away. And honestly, some of our best walks have been the times when hardly anyone else is around. The early mornings, the empty beaches and quiet paths. Like the places where he can sniff, paddle, look around, carry ridiculous sticks, and just be a dog without everything being too much for him. It means that I scan, I look ahead, I check where other dogs are. I check if they're on lead or if they're off lead. I also check if there's space that I can move away to. I check if there's an exit, somewhere for me to get away if things get too much for Frank. I check what Frank's body is doing, because sometimes he's just sniffing and ignoring other dogs. And I know that some people might think that that's exhausting. And yes, sometimes it is. But when you've got a reactive dog, that sort of thing becomes second nature, because you learn that prevention is so much easier than trying to recover once they've gone over their threshold. I can cross the road, I can change direction, I can pause, I can create space, I can leave. That's not panic, that's experience. And another thing I do is I don't just let any dog meet him. And I know this one can really annoy people, because there's still this idea that all dogs should be able to say hello to each other. But Frank does not need to meet every dog. He has dogs he knows, he has dogs that he trusts. He has dogs that he's comfortable around, and that took time. It didn't happen because I threw him into chaos, like hoped that he'd figure it all out. It happened because we built the trust slowly. And for us, socialising doesn't mean overwhelming him. It doesn't mean forcing him to tolerate situations that he finds really uncomfortable, just because someone else thinks that dogs should be dogs. Dogs should be dogs, yes. But Frank being a dog doesn't mean that dogs chasing at him with owners shouting, "It's okay, he's friendly," is okay. That's not his idea of a good time. And for my arms, it's definitely not mine. Another thing I do differently is I leave earlier in the morning than other people might. If a place starts getting busy with other dogs, we leave. If too many other dogs appear, we leave or we move away. If like the energy changes and it no longer feels like the right environment for him, we leave. I used to feel awkward about that. Like I used to feel like I had to stay just to prove something. So like if I left, I was failing. But I don't think like that anymore. I just think leaving before things go wrong isn't failure. Sometimes it's the most sensible thing you can do as a responsible reactive dog owner. A calm dog coming home from a shorter walk is much better than an overstimulated dog coming back from a longer walk just to prove a point. And I think that reactive dog owners need to hear that more often. You don't have to push your dog to the edge to prove a point every time. Sometimes the win is knowing when enough is enough. And another thing that I do differently is advocate faster, and that's definitely what I do now. Don't wait as long as I used to. If I see a dog coming towards him from the distance, I say immediately, keep your dog, recall your dog, things like that. If I need space, I ask for it. And if I need to move away, then I move away. If someone thinks I'm rude, it's not ideal, but I can live with it. Because if something goes wrong, it's not going to be the stranger that carries it home. It's me, it's Frank, and it's the stress you have to deal with afterwards. If you're a reactive dog owner, you'll know this. It's the recovery, it's the guilt you feel. You replay everything in your head. And when you've lived through that enough times, you just stop worrying quite so much about being seen as polite. It doesn't mean I'm horrible to people sometimes. It just means I'm very clear in my communication now. Frank's safety means a lot more than another person's opinion of my politeness. Another thing that I do differently is pay attention to the small wins. Because with a reactive dog, progress can look really boring from the outside. With Frank, it was the distance. It got closer and closer, so I could walk past people easier. As I said before, it might be Frank choosing to sniff something instead of staring at a dog. It might be like his softer body language. And it might just be turning around calmly before something turns into a situation. And sometimes it's him coming home and just feeling really restful after a walk. And other people might not even notice these things, but I do. And when you live with a dog like Frank, celebrating their tiny wins is often celebrating the big wins. Another thing I do is stop comparing him. I used to, and even now I still do sometimes, is I look at other dogs and think, why can't Frank just be like that? I kind of say it in a more joking way now though, because I've been with him 6 years. Why can't he just ignore other dogs? Why can't he just walk through busy places? Can't he just be relaxed around every dog? And I think a lot of other reactive dog owners have those same sort of thoughts, but they just don't want to say it out loud. But comparison is horrible because you miss the dog in front of you. Frank's not here to be someone else's dog. He's here to be Frank. He's come so far. He has a brilliant life. He's loved, he's managed, and he's really understood. And he's taught me more than an easy dog probably ever would. And another thing I do is protect my own nervous system. Because having a reactive dog isn't just about the dog, it affects you too. Like you become tense, you become hyper aware, you even start scanning before your dog does. And you can carry the stress of a bad walk for the rest of the day. And I've learned that if I want Frank to be calmer, then I have to be calmer too. Not perfect, not zen, just aware of my breathing, aware of my body, aware of when I'm tensing, aware of when I need to stop, when I need to reset, where I need to go somewhere quieter. Because the person at the other end of the lead matters too. And that's something I don't think people talk about enough either. And another thing I do is build my life around things that actually work. Not what looks good online, not what other people think I should be doing, and not what would make Frank look more impressive. Things that actually work for us, like routine, movement, freedom, where it's safe, controlled introductions, clear boundaries, vet care, rest, love. It might not be everyone's idea of perfect dog ownership. It works for Frank and it works for us. So yeah, there's lots of things I do differently because my dog is reactive. I walk differently, I plan differently, I leave differently, I say no more quickly, I care less about looking rude, I listen to his body language, and I've stopped trying to force him into situations that make other people feel more comfortable. Because I know my dog, I know Frank. The life we've built together might not be textbook, but it's ours and he is safe. He is loved and he is understood. So if you have a reactive dog and your life looks different because of them, I hope this reminds you that you're not necessarily doing anything wrong. Sometimes you're just building a life around the dog that you actually have. And sometimes that's exactly what they need. This is my life with Frank, and if you get it, you get it.